process, so you try and make her presentation as juicy and exciting as a mango.
Thank you.
Considerate Barbara. I was.
We are here to present on the Shouldice Hospital case, and the team is made up of myself, Barbara, Emily, Yvonne, and Kunis. The presentation is going to be like this. We are going to take each question. We didn't have time to write the objectives, so I'm going to talk about the challenges of service marketing. She's going to talk about the 7 Ps. Kunis is going to talk about customer evaluation, and she's going to end with the integration. So I start with what we did with that question was to identify what the challenges are as a whole related to the case and bring out certain activities that the Shouldice Hospital undertook to solve the problem. Now, we all know that the challenge associated to the marketing of services is in the characteristics of services themselves. So we have the intangibility, heterogeneity, interoperability, and perishability. Now, the question was how to pick those points from the case studies. We came up with certain questions that were major in the case study pertaining to the challenges. Now, one of the questions that the doctors at the Shouldice Hospital might have been asking themselves was, how can Shouldice offer consistent service delivery? How can Shouldice protect their service from competitors when service processes cannot be easily patented? And how can Shouldice communicate excellent quality service to the patient? We came up with a solution, and the solution was in the service marketing triangle. The first one was external marketing. Even though Shouldice didn't do much advertising themselves or got like 9% referrals from from other doctors, about 54% of their marketing was done by their patients through positive word of mouth. And those patients were patients who had already experienced the service, were satisfied with it, and informed other customers, other patients, to come to the hospital. Now, the Shouldice Hospital management wanted to deliver on their promise, and their promise was, come to our hospital, we will give you an easy ambulated hernia operation with additional services. They made sure that they delivered on that particular promise by using their staff and by using the customer in the process. First of all, what they did was to show empathy. They knew that that process was nerve-wracking or anxious for their customers. So they showed empathy. They showed a high level of care. So that when you come to the hospital, they talk to you, they explain the process to you. So that the patient is aware of what he's going to go through. And they make sure that they talk to they explain that the process is going to be so simple that even after the operation, they will be able to walk. Another thing also was that the patient experience was wonderful. Putting me into a room with somebody who has the same interest with me will reduce my level of anxiety. Also, the physical evidence, that is, as everybody was saying, the hospital looked like a hotel. I've never been to a hospital which looked like the hotel, no smell, no white floors. I wouldn't be anxious, so I always want to go there. Now, the third marketing tool that they used was internal marketing. They made sure that both their administrative and operating staff were very well taken care of. Through continuous training, they offered motivation for their staff through bonuses, flexible working hours, and they made sure that all the surgeons worked as a team, and then all the surgeons also shared ideas with each other. As a group, we believe that Shouldice use the service marketing triangle to overcome the major challenges in their service delivery, since that service has a high credit. I'll call Emily to talk about the 7 Ps.
So, how does the 7 Ps of the marketing mix model show us the Shouldice success? Well, we decided that the 7P marketing model, as shown here, actually highlight the key building blocks that show both the backstage and the front stage process that make up the service experience that Shouldice offers. Now, we decided decided to come up with our own conceptual model. We came up with the idea of the two most important things that the 7Ps shows us. So we decided the core elements that we call them the winners that mostly contribute to the success of shoulders, and then we call the qualifiers the supportive element that contribute to the success for shoulders. So we're going to start off with the qualifiers. These are the qualifiers that contribute to success. Price. For example, to do a price, the total fees from travel, from surgery to overnight stay, it costs less than $2,500 in Canadian dollars, which is 50% less than all the other hospital offers. Whereas as physical evidence and promotion, as Barbara just suggested, those two elements actually, in promotion, they actually have free annual healthcare check. They have, for the mothers to want to stay with their to their children, it's free to overnight stays. So they're promoting without really putting money into it, but is also very high value for customers. Well, now we're going to talk about one of the core things that leads to the successful shoulders. Well, it is, sorry. The core thing that is the core things is literally the product. They have literally superior technique for treating neurias. And that the patients actually recover faster. They can walk straight away. 99% of the patients are actually encouraged to walk straight away. Not forced to, but they're encouraged. This means that they're emotionally and physically more ready more prepared after the operations. The product is so good that the technique they use are so good. Customers even ask, please, can I stay another night in a hospital? It's not a hotel, but that's what customers do. So it just shows how credible that product is. Next, we have the people. Well, with all the people and the culture, the whole shoulders process cannot actually be executed. It's the people, it's the co-production of the people that actually execute and carries out what makes the shoulders what they are today. To support that, they're very well trained. They have bonus systems which promotes them. And the most important element is that the customer also knows their role. Customer knows their role even before they go to the hospital. They know their role from taking the questionnaires. If they're from another country, they even know the questionnaires. They know their role because from the questionnaire, it shows them what is going to happen from the very first day. Everything is very standardized and also timed. And to process, another huge success factor for shoulders because it is literally the smooth flows of activities that are standardized, they're timed, that allows, and it's literally the involvement of the co-production of patients' involvement that literally enable us to identify what really the customer wants. It allows us to look into what customers really want. And now Chris is going to follow up on that.
Thank you, Emily. I'm going to focus on the three major elements we have discussed in trying to answer how does a customer evaluate the service quality. And we have done some research and we found another case where they have looked at Mayo Clinic and they have identified there that the offering was very difficult to judge. So what customers tended to do is to look at subtle indicators and those, and what our hospital does, Shoreditch Hospital, is looking at those indicators. In other words, they send the right signals to allow the customer to evaluate properly the service quality and therefore the positive word of mouth. So well, the question is, how would they evaluate the service quality? And we have discussed and we found out that the moments of truth are those moments where the customer gets in contact with any aspect of the organization. An example in our case is with the operation procedure, or with the housekeeper, or with the nurse. And moving on, one other influential factor will be the past experience. Depending of whether that individual has visited a similar service, that has a determining factor to the perception or even to the expectations. And moving on, the employees' attitudes. And we have mentioned earlier on with Emily that the process and through cross-training and recruitment and selection processes, Schuldeis aims to provide, project the element of empathy and reassurance. And implicit and explicit promises. That's another factor that an individual will look at. The implicit promises are the tangible, the service tangibles. So it could be, in our case, the design of the hospital, the way the layout is set. And the explicit is the promise stated by the hospital, the realistic, the one that Schuldeis Hospital gives out to the customers. And finally, what we found very important is word of mouth. The case study indicated that new patients have reported that previous friends or family members have actually referred the hospital due to their experience. And I'm going to give a brief historic background. In 1988, Parasunoman wanted to identify which are the dimensions that customers tend to look at to evaluate the service quality. And these are reliability, assurance, tangible, empathy, and responsiveness. And we feel that throughout those influential factors, these fall into our little model. And now it's important to highlight those, and Yvonne will explain to us how those elements helps to the successful integration of the different departments within the organization.
Thank you, Thomas. Are we still alive?
Yes.
So, ideally, what happens in any organization, for most of you who work, so you see that companies work in silos. So you'll find that marketing is doing their own thing, operations is still doing their own thing, HR, you really don't know who they're hiring, and management are way beyond coming to see what the other functional groups are doing, but not for Schuldeis. What Schuldeis have done, they've focused on the customer. Yeah, that's their focal point, and that's how they've integrated the activities through marketing, operations, HRM, and as well as management. We included management in this lovely boardroom because the whole aspect of it is to integrate the customer into their focal points. So, go to the next slide. So in this part, I'll just show you exactly how these departments have used those roles of the customer to be able to enhance the activities and integrate those activities. So for operations, the patient has a role to play during the processes. That's minimizing the gap between the expectations and the perception. This is also in gap 2 that has been talked about earlier on with Kumis on the circle. So once the customer is involved in the whole, is embedded in the design process. So from the end to end, the customer has, from the point it starts to the point it ends, the customer is involved in the entire process. And that's why, again, you keep hearing me emphasizing on the customer, because that's their focal point. The second thing, what marketing has done, they've used the medium of advertising, a very strong tool of word of mouth. And I believe this is very, very crucial when it comes to advertising. The voice of the customer is very, very loud, and people, when you hear someone, the honey was good, I walked, and everything will go there. So what they've used, they've actually reduced the gap 4 in the model. So, and through this, they've used the alumni patients as well for the word of mouth. The third part is the selecting and recruitment process by HRM. Ideally, what happens is when HRM hires the people, they don't only look for the surgeons. I mean, you can operate a hernia well and good. So you expect the surgeon to ask you, are you good? Are you fine? These empathetic skills that Kumis talked about earlier on. So these skills that are very, very crucial once you come up from an operation. So what they're looking for is, apart from a specialized skill, how will you deal with the customer? Again, that word comes out. And lastly, management. They've adopted a bottom-up cross-functional process whereby the top, it's not about what management thinks, it's all about what the patient thinks and moves up. So they incorporate the patient in terms of when they're making their decisions within the lovely boardroom that we showed you earlier on. So through this, we can see the successful part of the integration of the activities between those 4, and ideally the most important being HR and also management in this part here. So in conclusion, we'd just like to say that our lovely Mango model that we used, again, going back to it, we identified the core things, and that's why we use the mango because it has that core part, and the fleshy side is